Hello, Commissioner. We're waiting on Russell to come in and then I'll admit everyone else.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Congratulations, Mr. Maestas.
Hey, thank you, David. I appreciate that. It's a lot of work. It's a big state.
Yes, it is. I was just traveling for some on the Chaco Canyon issue for the BLM.
Yeah, I went to one of the chapter house meetings in the throes of my primary, and wow, I forgot the chapter house there just out south of Farmington, and it was
Is it
jam-packed.
Nageezy?
Huh?
Was it Nageezy?
Yes, it was.
I've been there too.
Yeah.
And that was jam-packed. You want to hear something? I was making a record. I was actually on the record. And the chairman of the president of the Navajo Nation, his last name is Nez, isn't it?
Jonathan Nez. Yeah.
Jonathan Nez, yeah. I'm on the record and he came up and he wanted a fist bump. Like, I did, but, and then got caught up.
Well, he's a lame duck president. I don't know when the new president takes office. I guess on January 1.
I saw that.
Easy come, easy go.
I know. That's politics for you.
Yeah.
As you well know.
Temporary occupant of the office. I mean,
And at least when I was in Nageezy, it didn't seem like he was all that welcome at the time.
yeah, I tell you, just based on the feedback that I got was that the Eastern Navajos resented him because they felt he was more Arizona centered, more centered around Round Rock than, Farmington Shiprock. It was this AZ versus NM kind of thing within the Navajo Nation.
As luck would have it, I'm an Arizona boy myself.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Phoenix for 6 years and I was the BIA liaison when I worked for the feds. And it was during a time where there was a lot of corruption in the BIA and the Navajo Nation. I think you remember Peter McDonald, right? The infamous.
Oh, certainly. I was a federal court reporter in Arizona. I worked at the federal courthouse.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. There was so much upheaval in Arizona at that time. The governor's being impeached. You had the Keating Five, the savings and loan. You had the AS scam where legislators were taking bribes from this undercover agent that was trying to promote the legalization of statewide gaming. And it was just constant. I thought, oh my God, this state is like imploding politically. Rob, you're running the show, right, Rob?
Russell Fisk is going to run the show and he just now entered. So, Russell,
yes, Commissioner Maestas, I will be running, but I'll just make a brief statement at the beginning and the end. And Commissioner Maestas, if you'd like to make a statement right after I make one, because I'll just be giving the basics about the hearing and et cetera. Looks like we have to wait for a few more people. I think we have two people signed up to comment.
Yep.
And Mr.
Russell,
Lee,
let me know when you want me to
reporter?
admit everyone.
I am, Mr. Fisk.
Thank you. Okay, great. I'll let you know when we can go on the record.
It's already 10:02. Should we let him in?
Yes. Okay, there we go. Okay. I'm guessing this is everyone. Looks like it. Excellent. All right. Oh, a couple of people are still connecting. Okay, well, we're not on the record yet, but I see a couple of people, Sydney Beatles and Deborah Kapoloff, are trying to connect. But since it is already 10:03, I'm going to go ahead and start. Oh, Sydney's on, okay. And neither of them are signed up to actually comment, or Deborah's not. So go ahead and begin. Mr. Lee, excuse me. Let's go on the record.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the public comment hearing in Commission docket number 22-00085-UT in the matter of a commission rulemaking pursuant to NMSA 1978-62-8-12, applications to expand transportation electrification. This public comment hearing is being held pursuant to the commission's order issuing notice of proposed rulemaking in this docket, which was issued on August 31st, 2022. We have two people signed up to make a comment today. Jim Desjardins, the Executive Director for the Renewable Energy Industries Association, and David Fialkov. Before we get into the comments, I believe Commissioner Maestas, who is with us, may have something he would like to say. So, Commissioner Maestas.
Thanks, Russell. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to thank you all for participating in this. This is a big deal for New Mexico to usher in the expansion of EV usage in the state. We've kind of realized a federal windfall of funding, and the leadership just doesn't stop here with this group. It also includes the New Mexico Department of Transportation, which was the first state in the nation to submit the statewide plan that was required to allow the federal funds to flow. And so this is really, really going to be an incredibly important catalyst to what we're doing in the context of, the remaining months of this commission. Finishing this rulemaking before the end of the calendar year was frankly, very important to me. And I thank you all for your feedback. I believe that we've listened to you. We didn't overcomplicate it. We kept it as straightforward as possible, knowing that the technology associated with transportation electrification is going to evolve rapidly. And so we recognize that. And just to close, I want to recognize our DOE climate action fellow, Mary Jane Parks, for her role in leading this effort, as well as Christopher Hall and others. Russell Fisk have been instrumental in gathering all the comments and making appropriate changes to the rule. And so this has been quite an effort that started with our Transportation Electrification Summit. And so I look forward to kind of buttoning this up before the end of the calendar year. So again, thank you for your time and thank you for participating. And we hope that this first generation rule will serve the purpose, at this current point in time, knowing that things will definitely change as we experience the proliferation of transportation electrification. So thank you all again. Take it away, Russell.
Thank you, Commissioner Maestas. So I do see Mr. Fialkov is on. I don't see Mr. Desjardins at this time. So Mr. Fialkov, if you would like to go ahead and make your comment, given that we only have two people signed up to comment and apparently only one present, you can speak up to, we'll say 8 minutes. That's just an arbitrary number I just came up with. But if you want to go beyond that, well, maybe we'll let you go beyond that.
I'm mute here. Hopefully you won't grow to regret that flexibility, but thank you for that. Good morning to all of you. I appreciate and thank you for allowing me to speak with you this morning. My name is David Fialkov. I'm the Executive Vice President of Government Affairs for two trade associations, NATSO and SIGMA, that collectively represent about 90% of retail sales of motor fuel in the United States. And I also function as the Executive Director for a group called Americans for Affordable Clean Energy, which is comprised of some of the most kind of forward-thinking, sophisticated, well-capitalized fuel retailers in the country, with a particular focus on identifying opportunities to add EV charging to the suite of fueling options that they currently offer to their customers. Before I get into the specifics of this rulemaking, I want to just briefly note that the retail fuel industry is first and foremost a real estate industry. Right, they have identified and purchased most of the real estate in the country that is well suited for servicing motorists that are on the go, right? Whether it's on the interstate highway system, in deeply urban inner city areas, in rural America, we are ubiquitous and we are fuel agnostic, right? We want to sell whatever our customers want to buy, as long as we can do so lawfully and with an opportunity to make a return on investments that we make. Right? We don't care whether our customers buy Coke or Pepsi or coffee or tea or gasoline or diesel or ethanol or biodiesel. If people wanted to put peanut butter in their car, we would sell them peanut butter to put in their car. All of that being said, we think that climate change is real, and that as citizens of the world, it is our responsibility to do what we can to solve that crisis. That effort is not misaligned with our obligations to our shareholders, because it is clear to us that going forward, our customers are going to want EV charging. Our mission, our collective mission really, is to ensure that the transition to electricity as a fuel is as expeditious and efficient as possible, which we believe can only be achieved if the consumer's perspective is prioritized. We know these consumers, right? We know how they think. We know how they behave, what they like, what they don't like. It is our view that the real estate that we own is well suited to service EV drivers who need to refuel on the go quickly, right? That's what we're focused on, by the way, right? Fast on the go charging activities, as opposed to slower at home charging or kind of long-term, parking garage type charging, which we think of as kind of a different use case that should potentially be governed by a different set of policy principles. So having said all of those wonderful things, I'll now kind of pivot to this rulemaking. The challenge before you is not unlike the challenges that your counterparts in other states, as well as federal policymakers, are confronting, which is how can we build out a nationwide public EV charging network that is sufficient to make consumers comfortable purchasing an EV? Not the case today, right? Most consumers today say that the primary impediment to their purchasing an EV is not cost, but lack of availability of reliable public charging infrastructure. So how do we fix that problem? We need to make it profitable for private businesses to invest in and offer the public EV charging stations. Unless and until we can do that, where we create a regulatory and market construct that will prompt private capital to systemically flow toward EV charging investments, we will fail. That pathway to profitability does not exist today, but it is coming. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. This rulemaking represents an opportunity to expedite that progress and move us in the right direction. Though at the same time, I think if we get this wrong, it will result in private money remaining on the sidelines. The core of the dispute, as I see it, is actually pretty well encapsulated by some of the comments that have already been filed. The New Mexico Attorney General's Office, the Charge Ahead Partnership, from my view, those guys got this right. As I understand it, they are basically supportive of facilitating a partnership between regulated utilities and private businesses, such that the utilities invest in and manage above the meter investments to ensure that businesses that want to offer high-speed charging have the requisite power capabilities to do so, while the actual ownership and operation of the charging station itself is left to unregulated competitive actors who will interface with the consumer. On the other side, to me, seems to be Xcel Energy, which, if I'm reading their comments correctly, they want little to no restrictions on a regulated utility's ability to own and operate all aspects of EV charging infrastructure. If that is permitted, private money will remain on the sideline. I don't care about federal grant programs and other things like that. If we allow government-sanctioned monopolies to leverage their monopoly status to generate an artificial competitive advantage in what today is a competitive, low-margin marketplace, it is not an attractive business opportunity, full stop, right? And we are seeing this play out in other states, mind you, right? This is not abstract. In Minnesota, for example, Xcel is seeking to own and operate on the backs of that state's ratepayers more than 700 fast charging stations. Once that proposal was made public, all of the companies in that state that I had been working with to identify grant opportunities and other ways of installing EV charging stations decided they were no longer interested. They do not want to compete with a monopoly. It is bad policy in all manner of ways, right? It's regressive, forcing taxpayers, regardless of their income, to subsidize investments that private companies are willing to make is not how we should be approaching the energy transition, period. It's also bad for anyone who wants there to be high quality EV charging stations throughout the country the way there are fuel pumps today, right? If utilities and governments are the only entities that are willing to invest in charging stations, there will be no one in the value chain incentivized to ensure that the consumer experience of charging their vehicle is a positive one. When chargers break, there will be no incentive to fix them promptly because utilities, as I understand it, are going to be making their money on the charger once they install it because they're baking it into the underlying rate. The reason that you don't regularly see malfunctioning gas pumps is not because they never break, but it's that when they do break, they are fixed quickly. And the reason they're fixed quickly is that we lose money if they're broken. If newer, faster chargers are invented, which we expect will be the case over the coming years, our industry would need to invest in them and replace older chargers because that is how we would maximize our consumers' experience. Utility and government investment, by contrast, will be less nimble, and there will be fewer incentives for them to upgrade existing charging infrastructure. The final thing I'll say, because I know I'm even probably over your gracious time allotment, is that I read the New Mexico statute that triggered this rulemaking and the federal infrastructure law as being kind of what I'm saying is entirely consistent with your directive to pursue regulations that facilitate a partnership between regulated utilities and private businesses such as gas stations, creating a level playing field where investors can see an unambiguous pathway to profitability is fostering transportation electrification, which is your directive. Xcel is suggesting a seemingly simple solution to just allow them to increase the rates of everybody in their territory in order to underwrite their investment in EV charging stations and guarantee them a rate of return, irrespective of whether those charging stations are even utilized, right? Where will they install the chargers? Will they install them at places consumers want to go? Or will they be installed at vacant parking lots with no adjacent amenities? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know how they'll be incentivized to ensure that the charger is located in a safe, well-lit location where consumers are comfortable refueling alone at night. I don't know what real estate they're going to put it at. Do you? I mean, beware of seemingly simple solutions to complex problems. There needs to be someone in the value chain who only makes money if the consumer's charging experience is a positive one. That is how you get consumers to buy more EVs. That's what we want to do. It's what my members are eager to work with you and Xcel and other stakeholders in the state to try and make that happen as quickly and efficiently as possible so that they can begin installing charging stations throughout New Mexico and throughout the country. So that's all I've got. Thank you again for your time and your indulgence, and I'm happy to talk any of this through with you if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Fialkov. You only went a little bit over the 8 minutes. And as I said, the 8 minutes was somewhat arbitrary because in our notice of proposed rulemaking, we set a possible limit of 5 minutes. But thank you for your very detailed and informative comment. As I said before, Jim Desjardins of REIA is the only other person who signed up for comment, and I just don't see him here. So let me just check and make sure I'm not missing his name here. Nope. Okay, well, that is it for this public comment hearing then. Unless anyone has any questions, not comments, but questions for me, I will conclude this comment hearing. And then a transcript of this hearing will be filed in the docket probably fairly soon, since this is a very short comment hearing. Does anyone, if anyone has any questions, let me know right now. Okay. Okay, then this public comment hearing is concluded. Thank you very much for your attendance.